Just hold me tight, no words I needed. No one knows me like you. Love the way you do. Just hold me tight, no words I needed.
How is everyone doing today? It's been a couple of days, maybe a week, since the last time I did a show. I've been on a number of other people's shows recently, but I wanted to do a quick show before the end of the year, and I wanted it to be a really positive one because there seems to be a lot of negative stuff in the media at the moment about players and contracts and whatnot at Liverpool. And I wanted to do a show which was basically about, can we win everything? Can we win everything this season? And I wanted to go through some of the numbers. I wanted to talk about previous seasons. I wanted to show you some of the fixtures. I also wanted to show you some of the league tables from yesteryear to just kind of show you that we're on track to do very, very well this season under Arne Slot. And really, if you wanted to kind of touch on some of the stuff and ask me some questions in the chat, yeah, you can do. I'm kind of open to dialogue and conversation in this show. I was going to do a call in, but I just think it can get a bit messy because I think people want to talk about Trent and they also want to talk about Virgil and Mo, and I didn't want to go down that road right now because we don't know anything. Nothing's been announced. Trent hasn't said anything publicly. We know that Virgil wants to stay. We know that Mo wants to stay. And we know we're in conversations with contracts with all three because of David Ornstein. So we can kind of just leave it there and maybe move on. So let's just have a little look at the league right now. So I'm just going to share my screen so we can see. And this is the league right now. So as we can see, flying high, 45 points at such an early stage of the season. Right now we're at halfway, even though we haven't played a game with Everton, which will be rescheduled for, I think it's February. So we're at 45 points. Our nearest challengers are Nottingham Forest at 37 points. But really, I would say our nearest challengers are Arsenal because they're on the same amount of games as us, and they have Brentford away tomorrow. Brentford have got a bit of an injury crisis. I think they've got 10 players injured for this game. But Brentford have been good at home. Let's not knock them too much on that. But they have lost quite a few games recently, mainly because they're really bad away. But they have injuries, but they also have some good players in the team as well. And Arsenal struggled at home to beat an Ipswich. However, Ipswich did beat Chelsea. So they're not a really bad team, but that is Ipswich's first win at home all season. So make of it how you want. Chelsea, for me, were never in the title race. And the last three games have kind of shown you that. 2 losses and a draw. So, you know, how are you in a title race when you're losing 2 games and drawing in the last 3 games when we've just gone on and won our last 3 games, like with, I think, 14 goals scored in those 3 games, 12 scored in 2 games. So it's a big difference. It's a difference between title contenders and and basically just a team who's doing well at the moment. At the end of the season, you'll see where it all plays out. But if we just look at this, for example, and I just wanted to show you this as an example. So last year, we finished third in the league. And we got 82 points. And that wasn't enough to get us second place or first place. Yeah. I personally think the league this season could be won with 82 to 84 points. And we finished third last season with 82 points. 84 points or even 88 points wouldn't have got you second last season. And if you look at this season, we're on track right now with 45 points. Okay. So if you kind of break it down, yeah, to get to 88 points for the likes of Arsenal, for the likes of Chelsea, they're going to have to go on a run where they win, for example, 15 games, and the minimum amount of draws they could have is maybe 3 or 2. Yeah, they can't lose. They can't lose any games. With the likes of Chelsea, Chelsea would have to probably win every single game, and they might have an opportunity to draw 1. Liverpool could quite possibly win the next 13 and draw, 2 games and lose 1 game. But in all honesty, do you see us drawing 3 games and losing 1 game in the next 18 games? Because I don't. Because I genuinely don't. And if we're looking at competition-wise, the fact that these teams below us, the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea, Man City are completely out of it. They're 14 points behind us, like Manchester City. It's just not. It's not conceivable that we will lose 4 games and they will win every single game. It's just not conceivable. It's just never going to happen. And they still have to play us as well. They also still have to play Arsenal. They've also still got to play the competitors in the team, in the league at that time as well. So you do have to look at this at a grand scheme of things. Like, we have Arsenal at home. We have Chelsea away. Like, Chelsea at home haven't been great. Like, Arsenal at home for us is a huge game. We have Tottenham at home. We have Newcastle at home. We have plenty of games at home with the teams that in and around us where we could take points off them. And the reason why I say, can we win everything this season, is if we win the next 10 games, and I'm going to show you the next 10 games, I think the league's over. I think the league is done, because there are too many points that are needed to pick up to even get close to us, and we still have to drop points. So if we went on a run and won the next 10 games, I think the league is over by mid-February, and I'll show you why. Okay. So if we just look at the competition and fixtures, and this is why I think it could be done. So we have Manchester United at home. That's never going to be anything else than a win. Manchester United's midfield are a complete mess. They concede goals for fun. Their goalkeepers have a 59% chance of not conceding in games now. Like that's 59% save ratio, which is absolutely atrocious. Like most chances go in against Manchester United now, when previously under Ten Hag, they were quite like they had a lot of chances against them, but they never conceded as many goals. So I think they've conceded 20 goals in the last 5 games, I think. So they're really not in great form. And they're also coming to Anfield, which is a fortress. It just is. Nottingham Forest away, I think that is definitely a winnable game. And the reason why is because I think Arne Slot will have a point to prove against Forest. And I think that's probably our biggest game. And Bournemouth away as well is probably our biggest game on this 10 games list, which is insane, me even saying it, but it is. So Manchester United at home, that's a win. Nottingham Forest away, I think that's a win. Brentford away, I think that's a win. Ipswich at home, win. Bournemouth away, that one could be tricky, but we have played well against Bournemouth with Slot already and won them at home. And then they went and beat Manchester City and Arsenal. So they've definitely got it in them, but we have seemed to have some kind of advantage against Bournemouth. Maybe that's down to the fact that we've now got their old director of football, and he kind of knows how to really use it against them. I don't know, but I think that's a win. Wolves at home, that's a win. Manchester City away, you just don't know what Manchester City are going to turn up. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. 7 games where I feel we could win every game. You got Newcastle at home, I think that's a win. Southampton at home, I think that's a win. Aston Villa away, that could be a tough game, but Aston Villa seem to be a very sketchy team right now, so you don't know what you're going to get. So that could potentially be a win, but you also have to remember we have the Everton game in February, which makes it 10 games. So we don't even make it to the Aston Villa game. And that's your 10 games played. I personally feel, I'm saying it right now, I think the league could be done by the Aston Villa away game. And then when you look at the Aston Villa game, these are still all the games that we got left. So you've got Villa away, Everton at home, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leicester away, Spurs at home, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Brighton away, and Crystal Palace at home. Those last 5 games are really hard. All of them are tough games. But I genuinely believe the league will be done before the Villa away game. So Saturday the 15th of March could already be done. And I'll show you why. So you look at the amount of games that the other teams have to win on the bounce. On the bounce. I'm talking like every single game they have to win. Win. To even get close to Liverpool. Because Liverpool have to drop points. The only way I see us dropping points is if we draw games. Like, if you look at Newcastle, that was a game we went behind. But we still ended up in the lead and threw away the game with an error at the end. That was 2 points dropped. Arsenal away, we should have won that game. Everybody knows we should have won that game. Like, a lot of fans are annoyed because we didn't go for it, but we still got an important point. Yeah. You look at the game with Fulham at home. That was a game that we should have lost. On paper, we went behind. Went behind twice in that game, and we were a man down in the first couple of minutes. That was a game we should have lost, but we still got a point. And then you look at the other game that we did lose, Nottingham Forest at home. At the time, everybody was saying, "Oh, you know, this guy isn't the real deal. Like the new manager bounces over, blah blah blah." Now you look at the grand scheme of things, Nottingham Forest are second in the table. So they're a great team. They're well ran. They have a system where they play really defensive, keep it tight, and then use their pacey wingers. That's how Nottingham Forest play. We had half a team that had travelled all over the world. Our manager wasn't sure on how to rotate the squad, so he didn't, and we suffered. And it took a wonder goal from Hudson-Odoi, which could have gone past any goalkeeper. It was a wonder goal, and they had barely any chances in that game. But the XG, we should have won the game, but we didn't win the game. We lost the game. It is what it is. I said it at the time. I felt losing that game was a blessing in disguise because the manager realised what he needs to do with international breaks and what he needs to do with the South American players. And I felt that was a blessing in disguise. Would you rather lose an early game at home, or would you rather lose a crucial game at the end of the season, which could have lost us everything? In hindsight, I feel like we could have the league sewed up in the next 10 games. However, in the grand scheme of things, when it was happening, we all thought it was going to be another tight league. We all thought maybe top 4 would be a good result. You know, I always thought we'd be third. We'd be around the third place mark, and we might get a chance to win a cup. That's what I felt was possible this season. We've all been wrong. Nobody could have said that you thought we'd be in every competition, we'd be top in every competition, we'd have lost one game all season, we'd have the highest goal scoring record, and we'd have the lowest goals against record. Nobody thought that. Like, nobody thought that we'd have only lost one game since September. Nobody had thought that. Nobody had thought that. Nobody had thought that our manager would have come in and continued his unbelievable record of winning huge amounts of games on the bounce from his previous club in Feyenoord. Nobody thought that would happen. Nobody thought that we would get one of the hardest group phase draws in the Champions League, third hardest group draw it was, behind PSG, and be top of the table and concede one goal and win every single game we played. And those games were against one of the teams that won the Champions League last season and won their own league, as in Real Madrid, one of the teams that completely romped the German league and didn't lose any games all season apart from the Europa League final in Bayer Leverkusen. Nobody had thought we'd have gone and smash AC Milan away. Nobody had thought we'd have gone and battered Leipzig, who were playing really well in their league. Nobody had thought we'd have gone over to Girona and beaten Girona. Like, they finished third last season. It's important to understand how well we have done this season. It's really important to realise that. And it's really important to realise that this is because of Arne Slot. And let's credit the manager and the coaches for what they've achieved. Like, I'm fed up of hearing all of this nonsense about, oh, well, it's Jurgen Klopp. Well, no, it's not. It just isn't. Because Jurgen Klopp didn't have Ryan Gravenberch playing like the best midfielder on the planet. Jurgen Klopp didn't have Luis Diaz scoring 11 goals in the Premier League. He didn't. And we can all sit there and say, oh, Mo Salah's only playing this well because his contract's running out. No. Arne Slot has got Mo Salah playing the best football he's ever played in his career right now. That's Arne Slot. Jurgen Klopp couldn't get him to do that. This is Arne Slot. This is our guy. This is our guy that we've only had for 6 months. 6 months. He hasn't signed anybody. Like, we have Chiesa somewhere, but he hasn't played him because he can't. So he's playing with the players that he's inherited. I don't think people understand how difficult that can be sometimes, because they have a mindset of how to play with their previous manager. And our previous manager was with us for 9 years. So they had a hell of a lot of mindset that's been installed into them for so long. And this guy's come in and steadied the ship and just put us in the right direction. And whether we want to say it or not, looks like a better coach. Looks like he's got better ideas. Looks like he knows how to manage low block teams. Looks like he knows how to manage in-game tactics. Looks like he knows how to shut shop. Has a tendency of being able to switch the tactics whenever we need to. Looks like he's managing the injuries so much better than the previous regime. Like, whether we like it or not, everything is pointing that way. Credit where credit's due. Like, and we can sit here and whinge about contracts and players and all that other stuff. But let's just talk about what really matters right now, what really excites us as fans. And I don't care about the contracts right now, because right at this moment in time, we are top of the lot. We are probably 10 games away from romping the Premier League. And then we can rest some players and we'll have fresh players for the Champions League knockouts. That's something we've never been able to do. Never been able to do it. We've always had to flog our players for every cup competition. We're already in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, and we played nothing but reserves and kids. And we've got Tottenham double leg, where they're literally conceding more than 4 goals a game. They're all over the place. Like, do you really think Tottenham are going to be in a good place for those games? They haven't even got a manager right now, so they've got a caretaker manager. In such a good position, and we need to acknowledge how well our coach and our club have done this. And let's just not dwell on these contracts and other things which can get in the way, because on the football pitch, does Mo Salah look like he's bothered? Does Virgil van Dijk look like he's bothered? I mean, does Trent actually look like he's bothered? Like, he's doing this, but scoring goals. I just think all the noise is with the fans. It's not with the players right now. There's no noise anywhere else. And this is the beauty of having these people running the club. Like, Marca and all these Spanish media papers can say anything they want. They say anything they want. But nothing's come from the club. Nothing's been released. Mo said he wants to stay. Virgil said he wants to stay. Trent said he wants a legacy. Well, if you want a legacy at Liverpool, you stay at Liverpool. If you want a legacy somewhere else, then you're going to have to build it from scratch. So you're going to have to work hard on that one. But as far as I'm concerned, everything is pointing towards a monstrous season of trophies. And let me just go into more detail about why I think we'll win in the next 10 games. So if you look at the fixtures for our competitors, and Arsenal, whether we like it or not, are the closest to us. So Arsenal have got Brentford away tomorrow. Okay. We also have to understand as well that Arsenal have lost their talisman. They've lost their guy who provides their assists and a lot of their clutch goals in Bukayo Saka. And that's really unfortunate. But that's what happens when you play a guy 150 million times in a row. Like, you just never give that guy any rest, any break at all. You just flog him year after year, and he's still quite young. And that's what happens. He breaks. And it happens to everybody eventually. And you shouldn't do it. But Arteta's done it, and now he's lost Saka. Okay, so he's lost Saka. Okay. So their next games, they've got Brentford away. That's a really tough game, regardless of whether Brentford have got injuries or not. But I think that's a really tough game. So they could drop points in that game. That can be done. So they could drop games. They could drop points. Then they've got Brighton away. Well, Brighton's not an easy game for anybody. Like, they score goals, but they do concede goals as well. But they do score goals. So there's a chance that Brighton could score goals against them. They're a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal. They played them at home and drew. So there's a potential that they could draw again. If Arsenal drop any points against Brentford or Brighton, it's over. It's over. They are then 12 points behind us. They're 12 points behind us, and we've still got a game in hand. Like, it's over. Like, then they've got Tottenham at home. That's a North London derby. Like, that's another game that could be wild. That could be 3-3. That could be 7-7. Who knows? Spurs turn up with any team right now. They're like Jekyll and Hyde. Like, they could beat anybody on any day, or they could lose to anyone on any day. Like, that's just how Spurs are. But that's a really tough game, and that's a big derby. And then they've got Aston Villa. Aston Villa is another team that have taken points off Arsenal. Spurs have taken points off Arsenal. Aston Villa have taken points off Arsenal. Brighton have taken points off Arsenal. They've got 3 games that they've all lost points on in previous seasons and this season. So that's definitely, they could definitely lose points in those games. And then they've got Wolves away. And, like, whether we like it or not, Wolves can take points off anybody. One of the hardest games we've had this season was against Wolves. It was against Wolves away. Like, it was a really hard game, and we won it in the last minute. So, and even Arne Slot said it. Like, Wolves away was a really tough game for us. So they could drop points there, and then they've got Manchester City. Then they've got Manchester City, and Manchester City will have a point to prove. They will have a point to prove. They will have some new signings, and you don't know what that game's going to be like. But I feel if they draw that game, then they're done. If Arsenal draw 2 of these games in this patch, they're finished. They're out. And they are the closest competitors to anybody in the league right now to us. Manchester City are 14 points off. And we've got a game in hand, and we've still got to play them. Like, that's done. Chelsea are done because they've lost 2 games and drawn 1 in the last 3 games. And they haven't even played anyone good in those games. So they're done. Nottingham Forest, they're going to fall off. Like, Nottingham Forest will fall off because they've never done it before. And you have to have experience in the Premier League. You have to have the nous and the experience to carry on going, to be able to grind out results, even when you're not playing well. These teams haven't got the experience. Chelsea haven't. Nottingham Forest haven't got it. Arsenal have. Manchester City have. Like, Manchester City are done. Arsenal are the closest. And if they drop any points in these games, it's over. It's over. And if you're going by previous seasons, I'll just bring this up. if you're going by previous seasons, you need to be getting 88 plus points. 88 plus points to win a league. Look, previous seasons, 89 points. Sorry. 93 points. Obviously, these are the crazy numbers that we got. But what I'm saying, teams need to rack up a good 15-game winning run. There is nobody in the league that can put together a 15-game winning run apart from Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City. There's no other team that can do it. The last time Chelsea did a long winning run was under Tuchel in 2021. Like, teams can't do it. You need to be able to put games together in blocks and push on and look at a 10-game stretch and go, right, what are we going to get out of these games? Can we do 10 games on the bounce as a winning run? And there's only 3 teams that can do it. But we are so far ahead in points-wise. If they drop 2 points, it's demoralizing because Liverpool still have that game in hand. We still have that goal difference. You know, we still have the fact that, well, they've got to come to Anfield. You know, and it's also the fact that you haven't gained. Like, we're not dropping any points. We keep on moving ahead. Teams have slip-ups. We just win. Like, we have a slip-up, they lose. Or they draw and they don't gain. And it's continued all season. And it's the mentality. Like, you look at the team, like, I don't see any weakness apart from the left-back position. But then on the left side, you've got Virgil van Dijk there. So, you know, okay, maybe there's a bozo moment. But you've got Virgil van Dijk behind. So your bozo moment, still got to get past Virgil, still got Ali in goal, still got Gravenberch, still got McAllister. Like, the only way I can see any kind of fall off is if we have a massive injury crisis. And it's not going to happen because we've rotated so well and we've managed our players so well this season. Like, we've still had the standard Jota 3 months out injury. You know, we still had the freak injury, which was Harvey Elliott, where he was out for 3 months with a broken foot. Like, we still had those injuries. Like, we still had the standard Canate hamstring. We seem to have one of them every single season. And obviously Conor Bradley got a hamstring as well, which is, you know, that's normally a different player. It's normally a Curtis Jones. But Curtis Jones hasn't played a huge amount of football. So now you've got a full strength team going into a new second half of the season. And you also have the fact that you're not missing a Salah. Salah's not going to the AFCON. Like, players aren't going away. Like, we lost, who did we lose? We lost Wataru Endo. He went. You lost Naby Keita. He went. You lost Mane. He went. Like, players were leaving to go away at this time of the year. But Mo Salah was always another player. And we'd suffer for Mo Salah because he'd come back tired. Because Egypt normally got to the final or they got to the semi-finals. And the mental strain on Mo Salah as well, because the amount of times he lost finals. And we had to rely on the Mane bump because Mane had won it or Mane had this extra confidence. But you've got that strain of players going away to those competitions. And that's not happening this year. It's a huge positive. And you also have the fact that nobody's going to be leaving in January by the looks of it. There's no players walking out the club. There's no players being sold. There's no conversations around any transfers leaving. You know, we have fit players coming back. You know, it looks like Bradley and it looks like Canate are going to be fit for Manchester United, which means that Joe Gomez isn't going to be missed so much. And Joe Gomez is a miss. But at the start of the season, he wasn't even in contention to be anywhere near the team. Because you had Quansah playing and you had Canate as backup. Joe Gomez was potentially being shipped off to Newcastle. And he's come back in and he's back in the picture and he's played fantastically as a centre-back. And he's fitted in at left-back when needed. And he's that utility player that we have in the team. Every team needs that. It looks like Wataru Endo's going to be that player for the rest of the season, where he can play in defence and he can play in midfield. And it looks like Slot's maybe got that trust in him again after watching him against Southampton, that he could bring him on and play him in West Ham. And he looked fantastic when he came on. Like, we need to feel confident. Like, we need to ignore the noise. And there's a lot of noise around Liverpool right now. There's a lot of noise around, oh, FSG haven't got these contracts done. Virgil van Dijk said he's calm. Mo Salah said, we're far away, but I'm aiming to win the Premier League. Well, let's see how close we can get. Look, if these three players all leave on free transfers, then so be it. But Liverpool FC continues, and it continues with a fantastic manager and a fantastic squad. And if I've ever known anything about Michael Edwards, it's to trust in the players that he signs for the club. And right now, all we've signed is a Federico Chiesa for 11 million and a Mamadashvili, who was the 8th best goalkeeper in the world. And he was in the top 50 of best players in the world. And we signed him for 26 million. And he's not touched the ball for us. And Chiesa really hasn't touched the ball for us yet. We haven't invested in anything spectacular. We haven't bought a centre-back to replace Virgil van Dijk. We haven't bought a right winger to replace Mo Salah. We haven't bought a midfielder. We went for Zubimendi. Zubimendi was one of the biggest players in the world at that time. He just won the Euros, looked absolutely sensational. It didn't work out. I trust them to make another decision which will be good for the club, because we have to start thinking about the club. Look, we're here to win trophies now. We're here to make friendships. This guy is the real deal, and all that matters is winning. And personally, I don't care how we play right now. If we play absolutely arse football and the ball goes in the back of the net every game off Nunez's arse to win the game 1-0, I'm taking it. I'm taking it, because this is the moment. This is when it matters. The run-in is when you win titles. And it's not been something we've been able to do often. And to win the Premier League in your first season as Liverpool manager in front of the fans, that is legendary. It really is. Like, Arne Slot has lost one game in 2024. This is how good this guy is. One game in 2024. Like, the only games he's been beaten in Europe were against Jose Mourinho. The only games. And he lost in the knockouts in the Champions League, and he lost in the Europa League final against Roma twice. We have the real deal. We have the real deal. We have a guy that is bamboozling managers and coaches throughout the league. I have never seen Liverpool play the type of football that we played against Manchester City. Like, we had Conor Bradley as our right back, and we're all whinging about Trent. Conor Bradley played against Manchester City and Real Madrid and was potentially the man of the match in both those games. Like there's an iconic photograph of Conor Bradley completely smashing through Kylian Mbappe to win the ball. It's an iconic photograph. Like, this is the future of our club. Like, these are the type of players that are pushing for first team places. Like, Conor Bradley is already the captain of Northern Ireland. He's 21 years old. Like, Conor Bradley got more assists last season than Trent and Robbo. Sorry, not last season. In 2024. Conor Bradley got 7 assists in 2024. He hardly played any games. Like we seem to have this fear of, if a guy leaves, the other guy just won't be good enough. How do we not know that Conor Bradley isn't going to be better in that position playing under Slot than our current guy? How do we not know that? Because everything we've seen of him this season looks like he's going to be a world-class player. It looks like he's got all of the tools as a 21-year-old to be a first-team right-back for a number of years for Liverpool. I don't see anything else. I really don't see anything else. If you really want to break it down into the nuts and bolts, then you also have to look at, who does Conor Bradley play with? Does Conor Bradley play with the best 11? Or does Conor Bradley play with maybe a Quansah, maybe a Gomez? Maybe he's got Endo in midfield because he won't have the first team midfield. Maybe Elliott's there. You know, he doesn't have the full team squad with him all the time. You know, Conor Bradley doesn't really play with Ali that much. He normally plays with Keller. And that's just a fact. They're just the numbers. Like we all seem to think that Quansah might need a loan or he's not quite good enough for Liverpool. Quansah hardly ever plays with Trent. Quansah's played most of his games with Conor Bradley. So why don't you give Quansah like 10 games with Trent and Virgil and Robbo and see how that works out with Ali behind him? Because Quansah seems to play all of his games with Keller and Bradley. You know, this is what I'm trying to say with the dynamics. Like we can look at players individually and say, oh, well, they're not as good as them, but they haven't played with them. They've only played with half the first team. So what if they played with the whole first team? Would they not be a better player? Would they not have better games? Would we not win more games? Would they not be more comfortable games? And this is the conversation. Like you put Bradley in against Real Madrid and Manchester City with a full strength team, and look what you get. Look what you get. You get a 5-star performance. I know he picked up a hamstring injury, and I get that. But also, Canate picked up a hamstring injury as well, and they both had incredible games. But you have to look at the positives and the negatives, and I don't see any negatives. I don't see any cons in Bradley being the continuation of Trent. I don't see any cons. I think Bradley's a better defender. I think Bradley's got more of a defensive mind in him. I think Bradley's probably better at dribbling, and also he's faster. I think that is a pro. I really do. I don't think Bradley's got as much end product, but the fact that he got more assists than Trent this year, as in 7, and he wasn't taking corners and he wasn't taking free kicks. Like, you have to think, well, they're genuine assists. Like, they are genuine through balls, cutbacks, crosses. They're genuine assists. They're not just winging the ball in from a corner or killing the ball in from a free kick. So you have to look at that in the bigger picture as well. You also have to look at the fact that Bradley's 21. Like, Trent's had 10 years of Jurgen Klopp. Bradley's had a year and a half, potentially, and then a lot of loans. Bradley's malleable. He can be molded into whatever you want. Like he's going to listen to instructions. He's not going to think, well, hang on a minute. I'm world class. I've been doing this for a number of years. I know best. Like, I'm just pointing out the pros and the cons, because at the moment, the way it looks like maybe Trent could be walking out of the club at the end of the year on a free transfer. Because you have to also look at the fact that reports are saying that Real Madrid have offered 25 to 30 million for him. Like, if Real Madrid are trying to buy him, then why are they trying to buy him? There must be something that's been mentioned, or some conversation with an agent that said that maybe you can get him on it. Maybe you can get him. Like, why would you try it? Like, why would anyone try and buy Trent? No one's ever tried to buy Trent, ever. They haven't. There's a reason why, because he's never been available. Now, maybe he can. Maybe he is available. Maybe there's only so much of not tracking back, not doing your job against Fulham, switching off, ball watching against West Ham, poor crossing, poor passing this season. Slot might not have liked what he's seen. Like, don't shoot the messenger. Like, I'm just telling you, the numbers. The numbers are there. Like, I think it was 1 out of 8 crosses in the last game against West Ham. He scored a deflected goal. Okay, the ball wasn't going in that he shot. It was going at the goalkeeper, but it deflected in. The goalie was about to catch it. Hit the player and went in off his knee. Is what it is. Game before, he had 4 out of 17 crosses. His passing ratio is below 80 in every game now. Like, there's a decline in the offensive side of what he was amazing at. And you can't tell me that he wasn't at fault for Anthony Robinson being able to just run past him twice. You can't tell me. You can't tell me he wasn't. You can't tell me he didn't have a hand in the fact that he let the midfielder go past him, and he tried to tackle the ball against Leicester, and the man got past him, and you ended up having Gravenberch in the right back position. You can't tell me these aren't things that Arne Slot has looked at and gone, is this a guy that we want to sign on a 5-year contract on £300,000 a year when he can't do the basics that I want him to do? And the basics are, track your runners, mate. Make sure you're close to your guy. Make sure you don't leave your centre-back isolated. Make sure you don't let your defensive midfielder have to go and do your job because you're going to do stuff that really isn't important. Maybe you should stop crossing the ball into the box when it's not going to anyone. Maybe your long balls are just really bad now. Maybe you're not being able to pass it and keep possession as much as you think you can. Like, there's a lot of negatives. I'm not seeing many positives. He's got 3 assists this season. 2 of them are from corners. Like, we have to be real here. Like, is this a guy you want to throw £300,000 a year at when he's not even doing the basics anymore? When he switches off, when he ball watches, when he lets runners go past him. Like, he's not reliable. He's not dependable. He doesn't act like a vice captain. Vice captains don't go on football channels and talk about Ballon d'Ors and legacy and all of this nonsense. Vice captains don't do that. They don't do that. And they don't have their brothers liking posts about directors of footballs being sacked. That's the latest one. Like you don't have that. Like, the vice captain keeps his stump, keeps his mouth shut, and he works really hard, and he sets examples. That's what the vice captain does. Because guess who our vice captain was before Trent? Yeah, it was James Milner, and it was Virgil van Dijk. And look how they handle themselves. Look how James Milner handled himself. Look how Virgil van Dijk handles himself. That's your vice captain at your club. Jordan Henderson was impeccable for so long. That's how vice captains and captains handle themselves. I don't see him as a captain of the club. I don't see him as a vice captain of our club. If anybody should be a vice captain, it should probably be Mo Salah. And it should probably be Alisson. They're the type of guys, because they put it on the field and they show how it should be done on the pitch and off the pitch. Stand out people. Like, honestly, the Trent PR train is beyond me. It's beyond me. He's been on the decline for over 2 years now. Like, the amount of rubbish that got kicked up about England and him was enough for me to go, I just want this guy out of my club now. Like, the media fanfare and the hatred and the just everything that follows him with the drama, like, just leave my club, please. Just let it be. Like I just want normality. Like, we now have a guy that knows how to deal with the media. We now have a guy who looks like he's just a nice bloke. Like, he's not nasty. Like, he doesn't have referees hating him. He doesn't have referees getting sacked out of their jobs because they hate him that much. They do Twitter videos about him. Like, we don't have people at the club now that are writing books and making money on the side and telling people about how to beat us and our tactics and how they were wanted by Manchester United. We now have a cohesive team ran by a competent coach that knows how to win and knows how to manage our team and knows how to get the best out of our players. And we are going to win the fucking lot. We're going to win the lot. We have a guy that's lost one game in 2024, and every single interview he talks about it. That gives me goosebumps. I don't know what anybody else thinks about that, but the fact that he just will not stop talking about it makes me happy inside, because you know for a fact that a few days before that Nottingham Forest game, he's going to be sat in an office with the door locked, with a tactics board up, and he's going to be working out how to absolutely F them up at their ground in front of their fans, and then he can sleep the next day well, because every night he goes to bed thinking, oh, I lost against Forest. I lost against Forest. And that's my guy. That's my manager. That's my manager. Like, I said this a number of shows ago, like on various channels. All we needed at Liverpool was less drama and more robotic way of playing, like a robotic way of being able to play football. And you just look at Liverpool now. it's mechanical, it's robotic. Like you take one guy out, you put another guy in, and he just does the same, and you move them around, and there's a space there, so one of the guys moves into it. Absolutely, Darwin. Absolutely. What did you say? It's fluid. It's a fluid system that works. Like I don't see us losing again, like against anybody. Like it just feels like it's not going to happen. Like as long as he has his 11 guys on the pitch that he picked and they are fit and ready, nothing's stopping us. Nothing's stopping us. Nothing. Like the XG against us just makes sense. It's like, oh, we've conceded that many goals. Okay, well, that's the XG. Oh, we scored this many goals. Oh, that's the XG. Like, what chances did they get? Well, they didn't get any chances. Like, what goals have we conceded? Well, most of them are deflected, own goals, weird bounces. Like, none of them had clear-cut chance. No team has had a game where there's been world-class save after world-class save, last-ditch block, last-ditch tackle, like being completely overrun from start to no game. No game. We've had first halves where we've been tight and maybe took the lead, and then second halves where there's total domination, finish the game off, and then concede a couple of chances at the end because we've now switched off. We've now made loads of substitutions. We're a couple of goals ahead, and we're just seeing the game out. And it's like that every single game until West Ham. And West Ham, the game was done in the first half. And I've not seen any game at Liverpool this season, maybe in Europe, where the game hasn't been finished in the first, where the game's been finished in the first half. And this was a huge turning point. This was a statement of intent. It's a statement of intent. You go away to West Ham and you absolutely destroy them. Like Mo Salah had an XG of 2.8 in a single game. Like Mo Salah had 17 touches 19 touches in the opposition's penalty area. That's a record. It's a record for a striker. They didn't have one shot on target the whole game. They didn't have one shot on target the whole game at their ground. And they had 48% possession. Just let that sink in. They had possession. They had 48% possession in that game. We had 52. Like, that wasn't a dominating game in possession-wise. And we had 17 shots on target. And we had 9 in the box. Like their goalkeeper had an unbelievable game. Like, he pulled off some incredible saves. And this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. This is what is now going to happen game on game. Like we have to realize that Slot, second half of the season's improved from the first half of the season. And if you didn't think we could get better, then I'm sorry, we're getting better. We're getting better. You've just watched us score 14 goals in 3 games and 12 goals in 2 away games against Tottenham and against West Ham. And we drew against West Ham last season at their ground. I don't think you're understanding how good we are. And we can all sit here and think about contracts and think about signings. But did you see the bench we had? Like, we got Konate, Bradley, and Chiesa. Can't even get on the bench. Like, they weren't even on the bench against Tottenham. Against Leicester. Like, we have a very strong team all over the park. Like, we can look at players and we can look at positions and we can say, well, we need Zubamendi, or we need this guy, or we need that guy. Well, who do they come in to replace? Because the guys that are playing aren't missing games. Like, Alexis McAllister's missed 2 games, but he missed 2 games because he got banned, and they were European game and a cup game. You know, Dominic Szoboszlai's missed 1 game, like Premier League game, and that was because of a suspension. And now he's fit and he's back to play against Manchester United. Like the players are playing. Like I think this game against West Ham away was the first time Endo played more than 10 minutes. Endo's not getting in the team. Endo was a starter last season. He played most of the games last season. Like, you have to be honest here. Like, we have to start talking about total domination. We have to start talking about this season could be over by the middle of February. And if you watch the video back, I showed you the 10 games we've got. I showed you the 10 games Arsenal have got, because there's no other team in it. There's no other team close. Chelsea have just dropped 6, 7, 8 points in the last 3 games. Chelsea are gone. Manchester City are 14 points behind us. Nottingham Forest are 8 points behind us, but it's Nottingham Forest. They're going to lose games. They're going to draw games. They've never had a run before. They've never done it. And they won't. And they won't. It's really, really promising. Like for me, I think we need a left back. I'll be completely honest. Like, I genuinely believe we could get a left-sided centre-back that can play left back. I think that would make a lot more sense. I think we could be stronger in that position. But so far, has it really mattered? Like, most of the chances and goals we've conceded have probably been because of the left back. Like, we've had 2 penalties conceded by Robbo. He's been sent off, so he missed the game. We drew that game probably because of him. He's had a couple of bozo moments. He gave away 3 penalties. You know, some of the big chances are probably down to him. Like, back post against a couple of teams, like 2 teams, he didn't do well. Like, so you could do better in that position. So who are you getting for that position? Like, who are you getting to play in that position? Because it's not going to be a left back that's going to be like a Kerkez or an Anthony Robinson. It's not going to be that type of left back, because it's already been talked about that that's not the profile that we want. Big up, Singe. Appreciate the super chat. Thanks for that. And yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I'm on Ihsan's show most Fridays. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's a great show. About 2 hours long. It's all just Liverpool. Big up for that. Any super chats, always welcome. Like I said, you put a super chat in, I'll definitely read your message and discuss it. So I've done over an hour, but if you want to write any questions in, definitely pop them in the chat. There's 60, 70 in here. You can please hit the likes. That would be amazing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm on the road to 700. I was aiming for actually 500 the end of the year, and I've already hit that. So massive thanks to everyone. My next goal is obviously 1,000. If anyone hits the subscribe, please let me know in the chat and we'll welcome you. What's that? A bit of drama in the chat. How exciting. Yeah. I mean, Saka is predictable. That's a fair point, but I think Saka makes Odegaard better because of the chemistry they've got. I also think Saka's he's a clutch guy. Like, he scores important goals. He also creates important goals. I think they're missing that. Like, who's been steering trouble? I'm going to do a quick shout out to a load of people who are in here as well, because because big up everyone. Big up Gary. Good to see you, mate. Big up Colin. Big up Keep It Real. Big up Alexander. Yep, he certainly is. Big up Lakers. Hope you're well, mate. Big up Red Chili. Big up AA. Good to see you, mate. Big up Michael. Haven't seen you for a while, mate. Hope you're well. Big up Southern. Big up LFC fan and Chills and Spider. Hope you're well, buddy. I I wish I'd tuned into you on the West Ham game actually, but I was stuck on another show watching, mate. But we'll catch up with you soon, man. Big up Chandra. Who else we got? Jen. Oh, good to see you, Jen. Who else we got? Missed anyone out? Martin. Hope you're well. Anybody else? Songs 4K. Good to see you, mate. Hope you had a good Christmas. Register as well. Hope you had a good Christmas, Bird. OMO. Not seen you before. Hope you're well. If you haven't subscribed, please do, mate. Amamin, that's an unfortunate name now, isn't it? Hope you're well. Dino, good to see you. Not seen you on here before. If you can subscribe, that would be great. If you haven't. Tony, good to see you, mate. Good to see you, Colin. Good to see you. Good name, by the way. Who else have we got? Zane. No, Zane. That was my granddad's name. Zin. Why can't I open your... Yeah, there you are, Zen. Yeah, that was my granddad's name. He was from Malaysia. Big up Richo and also big up Renja. There's a couple of people here I've not seen before. If you can subscribe, that'd be great. Big up James. Anyone else left? Who else have we got? Neil. Good to see you, Neil. Any more shout outs? Who else have we got? Oh, Russell's in the house. Good to see you, Russell. Anyone you suggest that we could do for a left back position, Russell? Also big up another Alexander. And obviously massive thanks for the super chat things. Finding analysis on the club to measure the knowledgeable. Fantastic. Oh, thanks a lot, mate. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And Mikey, good to see you, buddy. And Freedom as well, good to see you. And also Brett, good to see you. Thanks for subscribing, appreciate it. Total Eclipse, good to see you, mate. Yeah, I haven't spoke about him really. And also Midnight Toker, brilliant. Gutierrez, absolutely. And the interesting thing about Gutierrez as well, Russell, is if you play back the press conference after that game, Slot's got nothing but glowing stuff to say about him. That's the weird thing about Slot. Like, why does he talk about players? Like, why does he talk about players from other clubs? Like, is that to get in their heads, or is that because he genuinely likes them? And I mean, you know, if Slot's talking about players and rates them, like Isak, he never shuts up about Isak. He still talks about that goal all the time. Is that because he wants them? Is that because he's telling the board, like, Gutierrez? Yep, that's the guy I want. Richard, did you hear that press conference? Yep, okay. Really? Like, yeah, it's a fair point. Where is it? That's a fair point, Neil. And big up Neil, by the way. He is just an honest guy, and it's a breath of fresh air. It really is a breath of fresh air. And like, I think what's hilarious as well, if you haven't seen it, check out the interview he did at the end of the West Ham game when he actually said to the reporter, why don't I ask you if Mo Salah's signing a new contract? And the reporter went, okay then. And he goes, okay, so have you heard any news about Mo Salah? Is he signing a new contract? It's just the way he did it. He just completely flipped it on the report. And the reporter's like, hang on, I'm the one being interviewed now. I just think that's class. It's just a bit of class. Like, it's just like, it's the total polar opposite to the guy we just had for 9 years. He just didn't like them. And they didn't like him. And like, you know, I mean, what I'd find really interesting is how many games would Klopp get banned for now? Because he was carrying on. He was really getting to a certain stage where I don't think he was far away from actually lamping one of the officials. Actually, just doing one of the officials in on the touchline like this. And I mean, Slot's already been banned, and he's lost it a few times. So can you imagine Jurgen this season? He'd probably have killed someone. But yeah, just having a drink. Sorry. It's a fair point. He did actually. He did call them all fat. He did. Oh man. But I also like the fact that in the press room, like he jokes. Like he has a joke. Like the fact that he brought up the 115 is just brilliant. Like, you know, he's just got a great sense of humor. That's a really good shout. Like, that's a really good shout. Is he right-sided or left-sided, Theo Hernandez? He's actually looking to leave AC Milan as well, isn't he? AC Milan have just sacked their manager as well, so they've got a new guy. So AC Milan are going through a bit of a transition. So a Darwin Núñez for them would really help them because they don't score enough goals. They just don't score enough goals. Like let's be fair. Like the guy they signed from Chelsea just isn't that great, is he? Like Tammy Abraham just isn't that guy. Like, and also Tomori just isn't a fantastic defender, really, is he? Like, let's just hold our hands up. I can say, like, look, just because they're English doesn't mean they're good. They're not great. But yeah, I would. Like, I mean, to be honest, I'd probably swap Núñez for a bag of crisps, like right now, because we'll put it this way. And this is just a stat. You know what I'm like for stats. Diogo Jota has scored more goals than Núñez in the Premier League already. And Núñez has played 80% more games. Like, right now, Curtis Jones has scored more goals than Darwin Núñez in the Premier League. And Curtis Jones isn't even a striker. Like, I mean, you just got to put that into perspective, really. Like, he missed 32 big chances in 2024, Darwin Núñez. 32 big chances. A big chance means that it's in the walls of the penalty area and the width of the posts. That's a big chance. And the only person in the way of the chance and the goal is the goalkeeper. That's classed as a big chance. He's missed 32 of them. And you can watch the replays, because I think he missed 5 chances which were under the bar. I genuinely believe he's missed 5 chances for Liverpool where he was stood underneath the goal, like underneath the bar, and he missed. Like, it went wide or it went over. Like, I think there's possibly 3 where he went around the goalkeeper and there was no goalkeeper and still missed. Like, he's missed chances where there wasn't a goalkeeper and it was a completely open goal. I'm just sorry. I'm just like, if you can't score in an open net with no goalkeeper and your main job is to score goals, like, literally, that's all you do. Literally all you do. Like, you're not on the phones, you're not on your computer. That's not your job. Your job is literally to hit the ball in the back of a net every single time. And you spend all of your life doing that, and you can't do that 100% of the time. I'm not even giving you 90% of the time. I'm giving you 100% of the time. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't be doing that job. I'm sorry. Like, you just haven't got an excuse. You haven't got an excuse for me. Like, if you're a midfielder and you do it, okay. Like, you might not get into that position that often. Or you're a defender. Okay. You don't go around the goalkeeper and have many shots on goal like that. Okay, that's fine. But if you're a forward and you're a number 9 and that's all you do, you can do it somewhere else. You can go and miss those chances somewhere else for me. I'm sorry. You can go to another club and miss those chances there, because you shouldn't be missing them at my club. Neil, he did it 3 times, mate. He's gone around the goalkeeper 3 times at Liverpool and hit the post or put it wide. He's done it 3 times. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. And we need to have this conversation as well, Neil. You're absolutely right. There's another Neil, by the way. Sorry. I think Slot found an absolute gem. I just do. Like I spoke. Me and Jamie Phillips spoke about this a number of times. All Klopp needed to do was play Diaz in the middle. Like, the amount of times he scored goals in the middle, but he's wasted so much time on the wide, like wide right. Sorry, wide left. Like, he's a good finisher in the box. Like, he's a good finisher in the box, and he's got that kind of ability where he can maybe take it past the player, or he can drag it around, or he's got the skill, he's got the strength, but he's also got a good finish on him in the centre. And Slot's obviously looked at it and gone, hang on a minute, this guy's not a dribbler. This guy's not going to be able to put a ball in. Like why have I got this guy on the left hand wing when doesn't even cross the ball? Like, his production is very minimal. Like he's not whipping the ball in. He's not getting the ball into the box. And then he's looking at it going, well, hang on a minute, who have I got in the box? Oh, I've got Darwin Punez. I've got the guy who hardly wins any headers and doesn't score many goals. And I've got Jota, he's injured. So what do I do? Well, you know what? I'm going to move him in and see what I get out of this guy and see if him and Salah have got chemistry. And the mad thing is as well, and I said this after the Bayer Leverkusen game, that's the first time Salah and Diaz have played next to each other. That's the first time Salah had played beside him. Like Diaz hadn't played in the centre with Salah there. Like, the games that Diaz had played in the centre, Cody Gakpo was playing or Harvey Elliott was playing. Salah was never there. So the pair of them had started playing like that, and you're like, well, hang on a minute. We're seeing something new here. This is chemistry which hasn't came about before. They've always been split. So you've always got Salah there, Diaz there. They couldn't be further away from each other. You now put them together, you've now got a mini bit of chaos here, and you've got a guy who's absolutely fine with assisting now. Like, this conversation of Salah being greedy has gone. This has to go. Like, we have to eradicate this from our minds now. Like, the greedy Salah is a thing of the past. Like, there's no greedy Salah anymore. Like, Salah celebrates when our players score goals now with them. He used to sulk. When Mane scored, he used to just look down and he'd be like, that should have been my goal. Why did I pass it to him? Like, why didn't he pass it to me? Like, that's the old Salah. The new Salah is every game for the team. For the team. I'm going to get you an assist. If I'm not in the position to score myself, it's going to you, mate. And this is the Mo. This is the Mo that Michael Owen spoke about If you haven't heard the interview, you should listen to it. It's really good. Like, whether you think Michael Owen's a snake or not, he's got a lot of good stuff to talk about because he's been there and done it. The guy was a Ballon d'Or winner. Like whether we love him or hate him, he won a Ballon d'Or with Liverpool. Like, there's not many that have in my lifetime. There just isn't many that have in my lifetime. So he turned around and he said, look, he said Mo Salah was very selfish and he was quite predictable. As in, you knew he was going to try and do this bit of dribbling or this cutting in, and he was always going to try for the same post. And Joe Hart was there as well. And Joe Hart said, yeah, he was predictable. You knew kind of how he was going to try and score. That's gone. Like, Mo Salah now is just an all-round seasoned forward that can do anything at any time. Top bin, low. He's got that whipped ball in the corner. He can lob the keeper. He can put it under the keeper. He can do the drag back. He can go round. He can do absolutely. He's got every tool in the box. And now he's got this mindset of, well, I'm just going to square it to the guy there. Like you've got the West Ham game. Like, Mo Salah could have scored another goal. I'm just going to put it on for Jota. That's not the Mo Salah we know. That's not the Mo Salah when we had Mane and Bobby. He was never passing the ball. But Mo's about the team. He's about the team. And he's thinking about what's more important now. What's more important? The league. The league and the Champions League. And it's about trophies. It's about trophies. The mindset at Liverpool is so different now. So different. Like, defenders are dying to keep that clean sheet. Absolutely dying to keep that clean sheet. Busting a gut, doing everything they can. Like Virgil van Dijk was given like a 6.5 by a number of pundits, his performance against West Ham. Virgil van Dijk did like 2 block clearances and played an absolutely brilliant game. Like, he just did. Like, and tried to have a shot himself with a little dribble. Like, Virgil van Dijk was brilliant in that game. Anyway, I've gone on for quite a long time now. I'm going to finish now. So if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. Appreciate it. A couple more shout outs before I go. Normal one. Love that. Live an adventure. Good to see you. If you haven't subscribed, please do and let me know. Big up LK. Good to see you, mate. Anyone else new? I think we're done. Oh, Robert. I haven't seen you here before. Good to see you, Robert. That'll be it for today. Anyway, you all have a wonderful new year, and I'll be doing another show next year, and we'll be talking about more stuff and more positive stuff and just how fucking great we are right now, and the fact that we're just going to win the lot, and hopefully Arsenal drop some points tomorrow, and if they do, then it's probably over. But you all have a great new year, and I will catch up with you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
No one knows me like you. Love the way you do. Just hold me tight. No words I needed.